This is Orlando Wilson, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to an old friend of mine, Obina Saint, and we're going to be talking about security issues in Nigeria, how Nigeria is today, and a little bit on how he sees the future of Nigeria. I've known Obina now for over 10 years. We worked together in Imo State on a project there, and we've dealt with a few things since then. So Nigeria is a very interesting country, and it gets a bum rap from a lot of people, and it gets a bum rap from a lot of people who's never been there. I've been there, I've lived there, I've dealt with the people, and my overall view of Nigeria is people are good people. It's just another one of those countries where economically it's still developing. And I think in the future, maybe not in my lifetime, maybe towards the end of my lifetime, it's going to be a powerhouse because it has all the natural resources, it has the population, and the people are motivated. So hope you enjoy the video. And here's me and Obina Saint talking about Nigeria. Okay, I'm here today with an old friend of mine, Obina. How are you, Obina?
I'm good, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. How long have we known each other now? Over 10 years?
Yeah, we've known each other for more than a decade now. I know you when you came to Imo, when you did the training for us. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy days, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit gray.
Hope you don't get to share some of my funny videos during the training.
I wouldn't do that, Obina. Hey, bro. Hey, let's talk about a few things. I want to talk about the situation in Nigeria. A few things about security and just the general situation in Nigeria. First of all, why do you think so many people have a bad impression about Nigeria? You've traveled, you've traveled more than most, you understand things. Why do you think people have a bad impression?
Well, Andy, you know, the impression about Nigeria is, when we talk about Nigeria, we even tell you it's all about Africa in general. And yeah, when you go around the world, just like you said, I've been to some part of Africa and also China, Europe, and then I'm in Australia now. So you find out that the impression about Nigeria is kind of impressions that have been, it's kind of a vacuum that have been created because of bad governance. You know, bad government have made it impossible for some people to be what they want to be, to pursue the goals they want to pursue. The basic amenities about life, like basic things people should have in life, is being denied, you know. And then because of also, there have been like a diversified problem in Nigeria, which have created people being stranded, you know, a lot of people getting homeless and all that, moving away from their locations because of insecurity, you know. So, but in general, Nigeria is also a beautiful country, you know. It's a country that is full of wonderful potential. It's a good place to invest. It's a country that have a little or no climate, natural disasters, you know. Yeah, it's just the bad government and also trying to solve the security situation of Nigeria is just the only thing I know that is the primary problem of the bad impression about Nigeria.
You know, I was down in Imo for what, four months. I was up in Jos as well before that. Yes. And in general, people were very, very respectful. We were very well treated. So I think in some ways, Nigeria gets a bad rap and everybody gets the blame for a few bad people and a few bad things. But I don't know, it's going to be difficult to clear up because the media is so biased. But for people that's not been to Nigeria, I'd say they need to open their minds a little bit. It's not all negative. Yeah. Let me ask you this. Because again, from a lot of people think, right? From a security perspective, if they go to Africa, if they go to Nigeria, they'll be able to buy guns, they'll be able to walk around with guns, etc. What are the firearms laws like in Nigeria? How difficult is it for a Nigerian to be able to buy a gun legally?
Well, I'm going to tell you, when it comes to gun laws, ignorance is not an excuse of the law. So if you got to do something out of ignorance, you got to understand there can be consequences, and they're gonna come someday. So Nigeria, by law, is one of the most strictest countries you can get a gun. It's very strict with guns. You were in Imo when you did your training, when you trained us in security now, in the urban security. Despite that, there was collaboration between the local vigilantes and the police. You still find out that the whole guns that were shotguns, not even the real guns, shotguns had to come from the police. There is record what is being used for, what the bullets are being used for, everything is being accounted for. And then you remember when he even wanted to get into the bush, like the normal hunting, to get a hunting gun, just the short 2-bullet gun, you had to go through the Hunters Association. You had to do the training with them. You got your certificate, you got your ID card before you got permission to use that. But for people who doesn't understand the law in Nigeria, who feels gun is easy in the street, well, because of diversified crises, and there have been like a vacuum in the security system. There have been a little bit of prison break-ins and also attacks in police stations that maybe got guns into the wrong hands, And then also, in the street, you find out there are people that buy some funny guns, in the streets. Some are even like little guns, but also they don't understand the histories of these guns. You don't know if these guns have been used for murder case. And then if you're caught with this gun, even maybe if you're getting the gun today and you're having to transport a gun and you're caught with it, that ignorance of you not knowing the history of the gun and being a country that is not allowed, an individual is not supposed to own a gun, there is strict law against gun, you get yourself into trouble. Some people get away for life for it. So when you come to Nigeria, there are proper channels to get things done. If it is
this is where, again, people think Nigeria is lawless. It's not lawless. I said to you a while back, we know one white guy that ended up in jail for immigration.
Correct.
Right? You break the law, you're going to go to jail. So people think you're going to go.
You see how skinny? You saw how skinny he looked. You saw how skinny he looked when he got out from the jail. You know, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what nationality you are. If you get in trouble in Nigeria, you got to face the law. That's it. If you come to Nigeria, if you want to just get a gun in the street, you're going to get yourself in trouble. I wouldn't advise anyone to do that. If you come into Nigeria and you need their personal security, or it's for, you feel for safety, there are proper channels to get, special protection unit, to do that.
Let me answer you this. Most people hear about Nigeria, they think about Boko Haram. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's in the north of the country.
Correct.
How does that affect the rest of Nigeria? Does it affect the rest of Nigeria?
Okay, Boko Haram have been an issue that have stayed for a long time. Boko Haram have been there for a long time. So, but for Nigeria of today, the issues about security in Nigeria is no more about the Boko Haram. There have been some crises. I would say as diversified as Nigeria is as a country, it's also how the security situations are now. So we've got Boko Haram in the north. We've got some of them also in the northwest. And then there have been few attacks also from another group in the north. And then in the northwest, there have been attacks also from another group. And then in the east, where we come from, there is a broker group which have a purpose, their agenda is known, that is agitating for breakout from the country. So also there is also some form of kidnapping. I don't know if we should talk about kidnapping today, but yeah, there is kidnapping also, both in the Niger Deltas and all that. Yeah.
We'll talk about kidnapping in a bit. What do you think now? What's the main worry for Nigerians? What security aspects, what criminal aspects are the main concerns for, say, Nigerians within, say, Abuja or Lagos?
Security situations in Nigeria sometimes have been proactive, or most times have been reactive. You understand? So as an individual, you can make some, extra preparation for yourself for extra security. But Nigeria as a country highly need to get into private partnership in security, get private sectors, companies, experts like people like you who are in the private sector, not just waiting for contracts between bilateral contracts between countries and countries. We should also get involved with some special agencies, some private agencies, experts in security training, to come in also to train the security intelligence and also the armed forces, And then also another important thing is also Africa have to also try to get away. Africa, I talk about Nigeria, which is the country we're talking about, have to also break away from bad government. We have to have a government that believes on itself. If we have a government that believes in itself, you will see that people are going to freely come into Nigeria to invest, because you have a government who is there for the people and not for personal purposes. With these basic things, I think, yeah.
What do you think crime-wise? What's the main type of crimes?
Well,
is it kidnapping these days?
Yeah,
is it
the major
crimes these days?
The major crime for individuals in Nigeria as a citizen living in Nigeria or someone coming in Nigeria, if there is anything you should be worried about at this moment, is if you're going to the north, just like I said, it's diversified. You should be worried about the areas you go, if it's the Boko Haram, if it is the other group, the Henchmen, if it is if you're going to another part of the country, you can worry about kidnapping. And also there are some part of the countries where you don't have to worry about anything. Like the central Abuja where we live, you see Abuja is secure. And for someone coming into Nigeria, it's also important, no matter how, if you really feel not safe or not comfortable walking alone, it's always also advisable to make preparation for, private security,
you know what I'm like. It's
and
like
then,
when I was in Abuja.
sorry, Andy. What other things? Sorry. And then, just like I mentioned, these problems are for, private citizens, citizens of the country. But when you talk to Nigeria as a country at this moment, I think the primary issues is now about the theft in the oil industry, the protection of the pipelines from piracy, and then also, these agitations happening, a way to, calm it down and bring everything working together. And then there is a high vote now in Nigeria about state policing, where we're going to have like 3 steps of government, and that's where, we talk about expertise coming in for training, like what we had before. The local vigilantes will be trained to be the community police, while the state police will act like the state police, and then the federal police will be the federal police to handle federal crimes. Yeah.
I was going to say, you know what I'm like. When I was in Abuja, I thought Abuja was a very safe city. I think Abuja is safer than London. You don't
Correct.
have the street crime, as long as you're not doing anything stupid, you're not going to have the street crime like you have in London. So I think
Correct.
Abuja was, yes, there's security there. I felt safe in Abuja. In Imo, I felt safe in Imo. And again, even in the bush, it's like, you know, overall, 90% of the people, if not more, everybody's very, very friendly. Everybody's there to help
Yes.
you. I don't know if
Yes.
you remember that first time I went into the bush, when
Correct.
I walked
When you
out,
got the chicken.
when I walked out, the people were like, okay, they escorted me back because what's a white guy doing wandering around here? They wanted to make sure I got back
Yes.
safely. So again, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of misconceptions. Let's talk about kidnapping. Yeah. Where is the kidnapping predominant? Where does it happen? Who does it happen to? And why does it happen?
Okay, kidnapping in Nigeria at this point mostly happens in some states. It can happen within the state capital, but most of the states that are not the major states, which is like Abuja, is safe. Lagos is safe now because there have been a lot of security enforcement and upgrade in their security system. Lagos is safe. Cities like Port Harcourt, there are very, very safe cities, in Nigeria. Like we just had the Wari Carnival. It was very, very successful. There were millions of people that, came together for the carnival. So the thing is about kidnapping in Nigeria also is, if you're gonna be going about doing stupid things, it can be kidnapped. You don't need to go about hanging on the road, doing stupid stuff. If you, focus going to somewhere, you go to where you're going, you drive out and then you go to your business and come back in. Then there are some kidnapping also that are happening because kidnapping is of different reasons, and there are causes of it, Some are also targeted, When someone is targeted, you know that, yeah, it's a different thing. It can happen anywhere in the world. People target people for crime. So it might be because of business deal gone wrong or something gone wrong. So, and then also, I will tell you, basically, most of the crimes happening now in Nigeria doesn't really affect people coming into Nigeria because it's mostly happening in the local area, and it's mostly now crime within, I would say to you, it's now crime between people against their own people. It's happening within ourselves, local people being kidnapped. We haven't really had anything about foreign investors now being kidnapped.
I think it's interesting because from the kidnapping perspective, down in the Delta, going back a few years, there were a lot of kidnappings, expats, foreigners being kidnapped. But again, it's more political. It's more of a statement rather than drawing attention to the issues in the Delta. Whereas when I was there, from what I see, most of the kidnappings for financial gain, for money, was all locals.
I tell you, the funny thing now, if you even talk about where there is even more security now in Nigeria, it's even the Port Harcourt and the Niger Delta. There is no more kidnapping of expats because they had a deal with the government, and some kind of deal. There are still rebels that will still, still want to do their thing, but there is kind of less crime in the Niger Delta areas like the way it used to be before. There's no more kidnapping of expats now. Because, my brother, I'll tell you, Nigerians also have started getting educated. Most Nigerians are educated now. If you see like what is happening in the country, in the politics of today, you find out that people are now freely having a say. If they can't say it to your face, they can say it on the social media. You find out that people are getting educated. We now understand that it's no more, we are not going to depend on this oil forever. So we are dreaming and we are obliging, we are pledging for foreign investors, people to come in. And, as a community, we are willing to do whatever we're going to do to protect whoever that is coming in to invest.
Another topic, the herdsman. A lot of people don't know about the issues with the herdsman. Can you talk a little bit about the issues?
Oh, okay. The issues about the herdsmen, just like I said, some of these things are a little bit, if not political, it's religious. If not religious, then it's ethnicity, the people are from the north, the west, and then from the east. There have been like a little bit of disagreement because also we speak different languages and then different beliefs in religion.
How many languages in Nigeria?
There is more than 150 languages in Nigeria, but we have the three major languages, which is the Igbo, Yoruba, and the Hausa, and then English, which is the general language. So the thing about the herdsmen was, a little bit political because there was a debate in the House about the process of grazing, open grazing, and then trying to allocate lands and all that. In Nigeria, the system of grazing cows, they move them from one location to another, So they travel around people's farm. Some of their crops get destroyed. So, people in the Northwest, which is also like, they depend on farm production also, when these animals go across their farms, it gets into violence. And then those people get attacked and people get killed. So it's basically, the herdsman thing is basically something that is indigenous, and then it doesn't affect anyone that is not Nigerian. I haven't seen anyone affected that is not Nigerian. But the herdsman thing is political, ethnicity, and also it's kind of also disagreement, and then people are also because of the hunger. Also, people are hungry. Everyone is hungry. Little things triggers people. These days. So it's just the issue of herdsmen is just something that is within Nigerians and for Nigerians, not for investors.
What about oil? What's your views on the situation with the oil companies and the like?
The issue about oil is something that is very deep, which if you keep digging it, you get into trouble. So it's not something anyone want to get into. But, the issue about our oil is still being controlled by foreign companies, and then the process, the way everything is being done. In the recent quota by OPEC, we find out that our country wasn't reaching their annual quota, the annual quota. We find out that, there have been a lot of theft in the oil industry presently, both from the office and also in the protection of the pipelines, that are exporting these oils, So it's a big problem for Nigerian government. And it's a really big problem which Nigerian government is seeking solution from experts. It's something that they're going to welcome. Any solution from foreign experts, people that want to partner with them, in a way to protect, the oil market in Nigeria.
It's funny because I think you said you don't have a refinery in Nigeria.
Well, at the moment, Nigeria doesn't have a functional refinery. So we still do what do you call it? The oil companies, they drill the crude and then they export, and then we still do subsidy. And then you find out that subsidy is taking most of the Nigerian allocation, and our budgets, for our annual budgets, is being consumed by subsidy, So it's funny, because if you even check the amount for 2023 subsidy, our annual subsidy is about $6 billion. And we'll find out that if you look at some of the refineries that you see in Ukraine, Some of them cost about $12 billion. That means if subsidy is saved for 2 years, we can build a refinery, and then we can refine our own oil and then sell a finished product, which will also give us a better value market, in the oil market, and then also, give us that also, give us that grant, and also give us that supply, excess supply, that we can have good price, in our country. Nigeria is, if not Venezuela, the only OPEC country that petrol is very expensive in our country. A liter of petrol is about, if not 90 cents, close to $1 for just a liter of petrol, So it's something that is unacceptable, and it's funny the way that people, both the leaders and everyone, feels comfortable about it, and even the foreign companies that are the investors, in the oil industry. Sure.
What do you think, again, from a youth point of view, what do you think the problems are with Nigeria, and where do you see Nigeria going, say, in the next 10 years?
The problem that Nigeria have, as a Nigerian youth, because, just like what is happening in the society today in Nigeria, you find out that people have been stretched to their limit, that they are now boldly and openly speaking up, if not for themselves, but for the next generation. So the only issues I see in Nigeria is bad government. Nigeria have had a high level of corruption in Nigerian government. I know that there is no government that have zero corruption, but we have high level of corruption, both in contract, awarding of contract, in every sector, even in employment, And then we have had some of the laws that need to be amended. Some things needed to be changed, which some of the big boys, as they are called, doesn't want these things to be changed because they will be affected, And then we have the electricity problem in Nigeria, which is also the big boys, because we have enough capacity to generate for our country, but some of the big boys, because of their private businesses, doesn't want that to happen. And it's funny enough why it's happening in a country in the 21st century. And then, in general, we need to be a country that we have to believe in ourselves. The big problem with Nigeria is that they don't believe in themselves. We haven't yet gotten to that point that we believe in ourselves. We need a government that is capable, somebody with integrity, somebody that have a track record, somebody that can take responsibilities when things are going wrong. And also, we need to build a country where we can also check our politicians the way that they check us when we go for job interviews in Nigeria, job employment in their big industries. We need to do a head check, know if our presidents are even mentally okay or stable to rule a country. Because we had presidents who have stayed 200 days out of 365 days in a year, 200 days of those days out in the country for medical treatment. This is not acceptable. It's not how a country should be run. So we need a country that will believe in itself. And then, number one key thing that will make Nigeria to excel, because we are not trying to say that we are happy with what is happening in the world, but if Nigeria have put itself where it's supposed to be now, we should have been taking advantage of what is happening in the world. The way other countries that have the same, natural blessings like Nigeria are taking advantage of what is happening today in the world. But you find out that because of also the problem of insecurity, Nigeria need to invest heavily in security. We need to protect our countries and our borders. If we can protect our country and our border, we have a community that is full of wisdom, strength, and willing to learn. We have people, we have youth that can make impact in life. We have people that can think. We have people that can innovate. We have people that can impart. We have people that are willing to learn. And then in general, we pray that, that someday Nigeria will be free from the big boys. Once we're free from the big boys, Nigeria will excel.
All right, good. All right, anything to finish up? I think we covered quite a few topics, right?
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to say, at last, I'm going to say to everyone, me and Andy have known each other for more than 10 years. We've had an ups and downs. The good thing about Andy is he's a good channel because he have been on ground and he still have a lot of things he's going to do in Nigeria. So if anyone have anything you feel that is good that you feel you want to do in Nigeria, because at this point, we believe that there is a good government coming. And this good government need partnership. We need investors. Nigeria is one of the best places to invest because we have the best minimum wage when it comes to, and we've got the strength. The labor market is there, and we've got the big population. So if you want to come to Nigeria, if you're scared about security, all you just have to do, contact Andy, and Andy will make every arrangement possible, for you to be in every arrangement necessary to be in Nigeria. And also it's better to be proactive than to be reactive. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Obina. Like I say, we've known each other over 10 years now, ups and downs, and we got more projects to work on in the near future. So I'm going to be putting out more videos, talking to more interesting people from various parts of the world to do with security, politics, etc. So follow us along on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. And if you got any requests for videos, reach out to me. Or if you know any interesting people, reach out to me that might want to be interviewed. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, and as always, stay out of trouble. And if you can't stay out of trouble, don't get caught.